The following story is about a husband's family using his wife as a live-in maid, and nobody really understands what the problem with that is. Let me tell you that the end of the story is not a happy one. Let's see. Am I the bad guy for saying my in-laws treat me like a live-in maid and me wanting to move out? I'm a 26-year-old female, and my husband is 27, and we live with his parents. His father had some health issues and needed some care, and we agreed to move in to help out. My father-in-law is generally doing better now, but there's still a few things he can't do anymore that my husband does now instead. We've discussed moving out because I want to, but my in-laws are very resistant to the idea, stating that there's plenty of room here and they don't know what they'd do without us. While we don't pay his parents to live here, which was their decision, we do pay for groceries for everyone and several household bills, electricity, internet, TV packages, and more. The house is mortgage-free. I also do all the household cleaning and cooking. I arrange and take all their pets to their veterinary appointments, too. I also work from home, so this is easier for me as I'm able to be flexible. We also pay half of any house modifications or upgrades, as they tell us that one day this will be our house. Recently, I have begun to feel resentful of the fact that once they are all done with work, they can come home and relax, whereas when I finish work, I have to cook and clean and have no help. On the weekends, I spend half of the day cleaning the house while they do what they want. This all came to a head last week. I was really unwell. I felt the worst I've ever felt and wanted nothing more than to sleep. However, once it got around to dinner time, I was woken by my mother-in-law to ask when I was getting up to make dinner. I didn't want to cause an argument, so I just got up and made dinner for them. But as I was in the kitchen, struggling not to pass out, the three of them sat watching a movie, waiting for me to bring in their food. I didn't say anything at first. I waited until my husband and I were alone to bring up my concerns with the lack of help. My husband apologized and offered to help more, which I accepted. But the next day was an exact repeat. I had to drag myself out of bed to cook, and once I brought in their food, my mother-in-law said, "Oh, you look truly awful. Poor you. Oh, by the way, later, would you mind giving everywhere an extra clean? I don't want to catch whatever you have." At which point, I accused them of treating me like a live-in maid and not caring about me outside of the services I provide for them. I pointed out that I wouldn't be in the communal areas if I hadn't been dragged out to cook, and that they could have handled one meal themselves. My husband sat there in silence. He thinks I should have brought it up more carefully, at a time when I wasn't so emotional. I agree that I probably should have, but I was sick and stressed. I want to move out, but my husband and in-laws are still against it. Nothing has changed with what they expect from me. I got no apology, just the silent treatment from my mother-in-law for a couple of days. So, am I the bad guy? My God, your husband is a piece of work. He knew you were sick and you work too, and he just let you suffer. Even with you telling him, he thought you would just keep serving him, even if you weren't sick. This arrangement is highly unfair to you. Your husband and your in-laws save their money and don't have to lift a finger. Children living with their parents have chores. These adults are so lazy. I'm angry right now. You deserve so much better. OP made an update. After making this post, I started putting my wages into my own bank account. I removed all of my savings from our joint savings account and transferred everything from my own safety account just in case. This turned out to be the best decision because I found out I was pregnant roughly 2 weeks after this post. When I was 15, I had been told that due to some medical conditions, I'd never be able to get pregnant naturally, so it was a complete shock. Once I had a scan to check everything was okay, and thankfully it was, we told my in-laws, and this is what gave me the final shove I needed. Immediately, names were being thrown around, and my mother-in-law started talking about reducing her hours to part-time or early retirement so she could be around to raise the baby. This rubbed me completely the wrong way. I didn't want anyone else raising my baby. Colors for the nursery and themes, etc., were all being discussed constantly, but never with me or my opinions being taken into consideration. And within a week, I felt as though I was just an incubator. The final straw happened when my husband's cousin, my mother-in-law, and I went shopping. I had been looking at the different kind of breast pumps before being told that I would be bottle feeding so everyone could help out. I didn't want to cause a scene in the middle of the shop, so I started looking at outfits. But everything I picked up or looked at was either the wrong color or style or something. I'd picked out one outfit, which would be my first baby purchase, and my mother-in-law snatched it out of my hands before I could pay, telling me that it was the wrong sort of outfit. It wasn't gender neutral enough, and if the baby is a boy, like we're hoping, then it's far too feminine. I didn't need to be told what I could and couldn't dress my own child in, nor did I appreciate the suggestion that they would all prefer a boy, let alone being told how I would be feeding my child. So I left. I tried talking to my husband on 3 separate occasions, and he either made excuses or blew me off entirely. I couldn't handle it anymore. I packed my bags and went to stay with my sister for a week. My husband called once and asked me to come home. Once. I made it clear I wouldn't be returning to live in that house, that I would raise the baby on my own if he didn't want to leave, but I would not allow my child to be raised in such a toxic environment. As a big surprise to no one, he stayed put. After that, I got spammed with texts in the family group chat, but I left and deleted them all. I've started the divorce process, and hopefully, as I've saved every disgusting message from either my ex or his family about both myself and my baby, they won't get any form of custody. Although, since I announced the gender, they've all gone quite silent. I now rent a small 3-bedroom house while I wait for the divorce to finalize. It's plenty big enough for the 2 of us. My daughter will grow up surrounded by my family and plenty of cousins to play with. The house is pretty bare at the moment, as I only got the keys a couple of days ago, but I have time before she gets here to make sure everything is ready. Thank you again for all your kind words. The situation didn't play out as I'd hoped, but I can't help feeling like it's for the best. I applaud OP for standing up for herself. Children shouldn't have to be raised in a toxic household, especially with the in-laws being extremely toxic. The husband is definitely a mama's boy and will probably never learn. I wish OP and her new daughter well for the future with no further toxicity. Let me know what you would do if you're in this situation down below in the comments, and or not, and why. If you subscribe, remember to click the bell icon for notifications. To enjoy all the stories, use the playlist at the top of the description of this video. See you in the next video.